Last time out, Buddy had the best race of his Formula 1 career so far.
Simpson secures his first career podium!
But things got complicated after the race with his dad.
I'm not doing the Indy 500.
Yes, you are. You just came at a good time. I signed you up for it. Look!
Buddy feels he has no choice but to participate, going with his ambitious plan he had last year to fly to Indy after the Monaco Grand Prix. But for now, it's time for him to head to the Circuit de Catalunya for the Spanish Grand Prix.
Welcome to the circuit.
So the European season has arrived as Buddy Simpson is about to take part in what was actually his last race of 2016 here at the Circuit de Catalunya. And it was going to be an interesting one. Teams would have brought updates to this particular circuit. Obviously, it's the first European race this season. But Renault haven't actually brought any updates yet, and they'll be bringing their first updates to the Canadian Grand Prix in 2 races' time.
Simply put, it's a matter of grip.
But
now, that comes from
Buddy's going to feel a little bit different. He's got the Indy 500 coming up as well. And after what happened last year, I'm pretty sure he will have that in the back of his mind, worrying whether this could be his last race this season after what happened last year. But he's got to put his mind to this particular race. As you can see, there is his yellow Renault in the pit lane. Without further ado, it is time for the qualifying report. The typical Spanish sunshine was out as qualifying for the Spanish Grand Prix was about to get underway. Sauber once again had a poor qualifying in 18th and 19th. Williams were the major shock of qualifying as Massa only managed 50th just ahead of Lance Stroll. Carlos Sainz starts at the back of his home Grand Prix due to a grid penalty, whilst Haas had an average qualifying to 11th and 13th. McLaren saw an improvement as Alonso made Q3, whilst Force India also had an average qualifying to 9th and 12th. Once again, both Renaults made Q3, once again with Simpson ahead of Hulkenberg, whilst the 2 Red Bulls of Ricciardo and Verstappen were 4th and 5th. Lewis Hamilton starts 6th due to a grid penalty, whilst Bottas starts 3rd. It was a Ferrari front row, with Kimi Raikkonen leading the way from Sebastian Vettel. So, to the delight of Ferrari fans, it was an all-red front row led by Raikkonen ahead of Vettel and Bottas. Ricciardo lines up in 4th ahead of his teammate Max Verstappen, and Lewis Hamilton starts 6th due to a grid penalty. Simpson lines up 7th ahead of Hulkenberg in 8th, Perez in 9th, and Alonso in 10th. Grosjean starts 7th ahead of Ocon, Magnussen, Kvyat, Massa, Stroll, Van Dorn, Ericsson, Verline, whilst Carlos Sainz has to start at the back of the grid due to a grid penalty at his home Grand Prix.
What does the Spanish Grand Prix have in store for us today, I wonder? I hope we see some tight wheel-to-wheel action down the main straight, circa Mansell and Senna way back in '91, or maybe we'll have a more strategic race here on a track where overtaking can be difficult. It's a sellout crowd of 140,000 here today as we await lights out for the 730-metre sprint down to turn 1 of this 2.9-mile racetrack. Overtaking is challenging through these 16 corners, but there's still a lot of high-speed excitement to be found, including the flat-out turn 3 and the terrifying blind right of turn 9. Anthony Davidson is here with me today. Together we'll be taking you through all the action of this Spanish Grand Prix. It can be hard for the cars to follow each other closely here due to the dirty air coming off the car in front. So perhaps we're looking at a more strategic Grand Prix, Ant. What do you think on that?
I'm not too sure about that, Crofty. I mean, yes, as you say, it's hard to follow around here, but if you're brave on the brakes, you can get the job done down into turn 1, which is a medium-speed corner, so you have to be committed. And looking down at this grid today, I think we're going to see 1 or 2 drivers making a move from a long way back, maybe try to force their opponent into a mistake. I don't think this is a race that's going to be purely decided in the pit stops.
So, here is Buddy Simpson sitting on the grid at the Circuit de Catalunya in 7th on the grid, so really good qualifying for him, just ahead of his teammate Nico Hulkenberg, which once again, to be able to keep doing that is just something really good for Buddy, especially considering how highly rated Hulkenberg is. Buddy has had a very good start to the season, you can say, taking 4 point scoring finishes in a row. So the Formula lap underway. He is starting obviously on the soft tyre because that's what he qualified on, and as he qualified in the top 10, that's what he has to start the race on. So he heads into the final chicane behind Lewis Hamilton. That's quite unusual for him, but obviously Lewis Hamilton had a grid penalty, so he starts in 6th. But Buddy Simpson is about to line up into his grid box, and it is to the time that the driver's nerves go up. P7 on the grid, so his hopes are high, but it's a long run down to the first corner, so he needs a good launch. Otherwise, he could be on the back foot, especially as it is a tough track to overtake on. But we have the lights at the Circuit de Catalunya. Lights out, away we go. And Buddy gets a decent launch off the line, and that's going to give him momentum heading down the straight. But as you can see, Nico Hulkenberg getting a typically impressive start. Buddy breaks a little late, a little bit of contact with his teammate, and as you can see, there is the pink Force India of Sergio Perez steaming around the outside. So he makes a good start and has demoted us to 8th as we head up towards turn 4. Are we close enough to Sergio Perez? But we've got Nico Hulkenberg right behind us, as you can see. We've got a little bit of oversteer on the exit of turn 4 there, but Hulkenberg is right behind us. We need to break free from him, but Sergio Perez making a good start, but it is crucial that we need to clear the Force India. But not a bad start, just such a shame that we couldn't maintain our qualifying position. So, moving on to the end of lap 2, and Buddy had business to do.
DRS is now available.
Okay, Buddy, it is crucial for our race that we pass Perez.
Maybe tricky, it's impossible to follow around this track. And sure enough, it just seemed the dirty air, particularly with these wider cars, was just really strong around here. It was just very hard for Buddy to stay close to the Force India because of the weight coming off his car. But as you can see, Perez has pulled off, and that's him out of the race. That releases us, and that actually does really help us. So moving on to lap 17 now. This is the lap of our planned pit stop. So we dive for pit lane, and we slow down for the limiter.
Let's get some heat into those tires.
But we do actually have a 5-second stop and go penalty for exceeding the limit, which was a bad mistake, and that is to be obviously to be served at the next pit stop. As you can see, putting on the medium tyres, so that's a very bad mistake for Buddy to make. As you can see, there's Stoffel Van Dorn going through. As you can see on the mini-map, we are side by side with Nico Hulkenberg, who is on the outside, but we have the high ground, but he has the warmer tyres, and he's able to get round our outside into turn 2, so that really is not what he needed, and Buddy was not happy. What the heck? How the hell did Nico manage to jump us? And passing was going to be very tricky, as Buddy was in the dirty air. As you can see, he has DRS, but being in the dirty air is not ideal. And as you can see, there are cars exiting the pits in front of us who were behind us before. But Grosjean completely swerves, and both Renaults have to take avoiding action, and we tap the back of Hulkenberg. As you can see, looking at the replay, when the white line ended, Grosjean did swerve, which just caught both of us off guard, as we both ran wide, and Buddy actually did tap the back of Nico Hulkenberg.
What was Grosjean doing? He completely swerved. I have front wing damage.
How does the car feel?
It's mate, the car's handling like a pig.
Okay, Buddy, we are going to have to manage the problem. We will fix that next stop.
But as you can see, Buddy was really strong for pace as he's dropped back from the likes of Massa because of this front wing damage. And he was actually holding up his teammate a bit, so what he decided to do was to let his teammate Nico Hulkenberg through for the sake of the team. But he would quickly drop into the clutches of the Toro Rosso of Carlos Sainz. It would take a few laps, but on lap 34, Buddy would have no hope of defending the position. He was just understeering so much with that front wing damage, and he just had absolutely no pace. And something else that also showed his drop in pace is Felipe Massa, who was a car that he was battling before when his car was in a good condition, but now he was a whole pit stop ahead. And one other thing that was costing Buddy pace and compounding the problem, as you can see on the bottom right, Buddy's engine, his internal combustion engine, is very worn, so obviously his power output is down. So the time finally came for Buddy to pit on lap 41 for a new set of the medium tyre, and obviously a new front wing as his pace was gone as well. But due to his breaching of the pit lane speed limit, he's going to have to serve a 5-second stop-go penalty before the team could do any work on the car. So this was going to be a very long stop. As you can see now, the team are working on the car and putting on a new front wing to hopefully get to the end of the race. As you can see, we have a virtual safety car which is going to help. If it had come a little bit earlier, then Buddy could have effectively got a free pit stop, as it's basically conserved him time. As you can see, Van Dorn is the next car. He's exited in P16. So he started to catch up to Van Dorn, but as you can see, he's now caught up to Danny Kvyat, who just wasn't moving out the way, and Buddy was not happy.
Does this guy know the meaning of blue flags if he's directly in front of me for over a lap? Honestly, what is he doing?
And understandably so, because he was basically blocking him from being able to get close to the McLaren of Stoffel Van Dorn. So, as you can see, he's got DRS now, heading onto the main straight. He is going to the inside, which gives Buddy a bit of hope, but he isn't slowing down. So now heading towards the first corner, and look at that, he just completely understeers straight into us, and Buddy was absolutely furious.
Oh, for God's sake, what the f***? He just completely understeered into me. He stays in front of me for an entire lap and then hits me. What is this guy doing? I can see why they call him the torpedo.
Okay, Buddy, calm down. How is the front wing?
It's mate, worse than before. I have to box.
So Buddy is utterly furious, and understandably so, because he really couldn't do anything there. Danny Kvyat just would not get out the way, and then he tried to, and then he just hit him. And so Buddy comes into the pits for a new front wing, and now his race is damaged beyond repair. Quite literally, there's just little hope of anything, and for some reason we still have to serve a 5-second penalty, even though we'd already served it. But at this point, it was Buddy just probably did not care because his race was destroyed. And even worse, he had to switch to the hard tyre because he didn't have any sets of the medium tyre. And even a safety car was not going to save our race because we were 2 laps down, so we'd drop even further back. So now moving on to lap 54 and...
Okay, Buddy. Box this lap to retire. No point wasting the engine.
Good. Now I can get the out of here.
And you can see why they made this decision. The engine was at around 80% worn, so there was just no point continuing around when he was not going to get any points and wasting the engine anymore. So it was obviously the right decision to park it. I mean, a terrible race. As you can see, he's headed into the pits to retire. So just everything that could go wrong did, and it all wasn't really his fault. Like particularly the Kvyat incident, and also the Grosjean incident as well, but the Kvyat incident more so. There was just nothing that could be done. So unfortunately, Buddy's point scoring streak has come to an end, and of course this is really not what he wanted to start the European season. Obviously, as you can see, Hulkenberg at least got some points for Renault, but unfortunately it's a no score for Buddy Simpson. As you can see, Ferrari celebrate a win. It is Vettel who wins the Spanish Grand Prix. But just such a shame that, because Buddy had such a good start to the season, but now Buddy's got to head off to Indy for the Indy 500, where he is going to obviously be participating in qualifying, but then flying back to Monaco for the Grand Prix at the Principality, and then flying straight to Indy straight after the race. So that ambitious plan that he had last year, but he's carrying out this year. But just really unfortunate that Buddy had to retire from this race. But that has been it from the Spain episode. We'll see you next time to see how Buddy gets on in the Principality and the Indy 500. Goodbye.